Welcome to the Phil Taylor Jones Show. I'm your host, Phil Taylor Jones. And as always, we invite you to come along with us as we delve even further into this political arena known as the candidacy for president for 2016. Most of you probably saw last night's debate, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. You know, first of all, I'd like to say that it was on CNN, and you would figure CNN is all about the professionalism, getting to the heart of the story. I didn't see that last night. What I saw was pure idiocy on the part of the supposed moderator. Instead of delving right into the issues that we face in this country, he was busy with his third grader antics about who said something about somebody and what do you think about that, and took up a lot of valuable time with that kind of garbage. It was infuriating. It was disgusting. The candidates themselves were so, busy nitpicking and backbiting and mudslinging and all this kind of thing that it just took all the luster off of what they were actually there to do. You see, folks, we're in a bad situation. We've got a president, if you can refer to him as that, that is playing footsie under the table with the Ayatollah, making this really crappy deal that is very dangerous to us and other people that we call allies. We're on the brink of accepting hundreds of thousands of people into the country that are potentially dangerous, potentially ISIL or ISIS or whatever the hell they want to call them, or Hezbollahs or whatever these crazy Al-Qaedas. And we've been going through this stuff for soon to be 8 years. So now is crucial. I mean, I know back when people, in the political field, they would throw mud at each other and, they battle and they kick ass and all this kind of stuff. We don't have time for that kind of garbage now. We really don't. It's about the nuts and bolts of getting this country back in our own grasp, in our own hands. So much crap is going on in this country, it's ridiculous. It's a beautiful place to live. The United States has beautiful things to offer. Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, the Sequoia National Forest, all of our national parks. It's a beautiful rock, the United States. But the system of governance sucks like a Dyson vacuum cleaner. And it was no more evident than it was last night. It was ridiculous. I wonder what I sat there and spent my 3 hours for. I don't understand why, knowing what we're up against, people can't get serious. You look at Christie, now he's like a big baby. He's always throwing tantrums and stuff. Christie is trying to tell everybody to, stop all of this childish behavior and get down to the brass tacks of what the debate was all about. What I would have liked to have seen in this debate is cohesiveness among those candidates. You see, not only are we watching these debates, but the world is watching. And I know they were just loving this. We as Americans can't even get ourselves together to get ourselves together. There's so much divisiveness. There's so much childishness. There's so much crap. Now the Democrats will be having their debates next month in October. And I'm going to use a new one. I was saying Reslugglicans, but my buddy Brandon, he came up with a new one. So this one's for you, Brandon. The Republicans, because they can't seem to get together, they can't seem to do anything. The Republicans are not showing any kind of cohesiveness. In fact, it's childish. This Carly Fiorina, oh, to me, she is the Republicans' version of Slithery Clinton. I would not vote for this woman if she were the last candidate on earth. But I have to say, even she came out of the box looking a little more prepared for this debate than many of the male counterparts. It was this sparring back and forth, back and forth. And this moderator wasn't helping matters any by his garbage, throwing it in there. The allotment of time for each candidate was ridiculous. Before the person could get 4 words out of their mouth, oh, your time is up. It's poorly run. It was a farce. Now, the front runner, Donald Trump, who, I happen to like a lot. I want to give him the nod. But I have to say, in all honesty, the man looked sorry last night. When he was asked a question, he was very vague. He didn't speak with specificity. He let Marco Rubio put in a real good zinger on him. He was asked, what he would do if he were to be placed in certain situations, and he could not come up with a definitive answer. That's not good for a front runner. If I were Mr. Trump with all my billions, I would have been ready for that debate. I would have not let Carly Fiorina walk all over me. I would have not let Marco Rubio, please, walked all over him. He said, we don't need a president who is going to be presidential when he gets to the White House. He needs to hit the White House running. And he's right. Mr. Trump needs to get his act together even better than he has. See, when he goes out to his massive audiences, he speaks to them and he speaks to their emotions. He speaks to their wants and needs and desires, which isn't a bad thing. But when you go up against other people that are seasoned politicians, career politicians, and you're asked specific questions, people are looking for specific answers. Because as I've alluded to before, all of us at this point are building information. We're gathering our thoughts and our, who we're going to pull that lever for in November. We're doing our homework. And a lot of us don't get the opportunity to go out to rallies to see the candidates in person. So the best, that a lot of us have are these debates, whatever bits and pieces we find in a newspaper, magazine, or internet. And then that's how we make our assessment of the candidates. Donald, you got to do better than that, buddy. When you are asked specific questions, you need to give answers of specificity. What you're going to do if you were to meet up with Putin or any of the other these crazy leaders. What you're going to do. What is your exact plan for getting rid of all of these old foreigners that shouldn't be here? What is your exact plan for building our infrastructure? You're a builder, and when they were asking about finances and things, he weighed in, and he weighed in heavily. That's his expertise. But you got to be able to hit it on all 8 cylinders, because a lot of people are out there and they're looking at all of the candidates with great scrutiny. But last night's debate was pitiful, And look at this Jeb Bush. They were all asked the question, because I think they're planning on changing the face on the $10 bill and putting a woman there. And they were all asked the question, who would be their woman of choice to put on the money? And my estimation is, I'm thinking the guy is talking about American women. This Jeb Bush goes off the rails and wants to put Margaret Thatcher on there. She's not American. You know, and why would you want a foreigner on our money when systematically we've had American people on our money all the time? It was crazy, you know. I don't know what to say, folks. We're living in a crazy situation, and there's no time for gameplay. We got to get serious about this. And these people that call themselves journalists, they need to go and come again, because that guy that was the moderator was an idiot. Pure and simple idiot. To start off something so important, so vital, with schoolyard playground activity like things. Oh, he said this about you, and did you, what do you think about that? That's not worth a tinker's damn when it comes to the nuts and bolts of running this country, when it comes to the nuts and bolts of getting us out of an 18, soon to be $21 trillion debt. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans when you've got a deal, a creepy deal with people that harbor terrorists, and you've given them the opportunity to make a bomb. This kind of thing about who said that, who shot John, and all this crap doesn't mean a hill of beans when we've got homeless veterans on the streets and other homeless people that we've had out there for the past 35, 37 years. And you're going to ask a question about who said this about whom? What kind of an idiot are you? If I had been one of those candidates, I would have said, no, this stops now. I didn't come all this way, all this far, to hear you ask me questions about who said what about whom. We're supposed to be talking about the issues. I applaud Christie for standing up, and I applaud Huckabee as well for standing up and saying, you know, let's get about the business at hand. Let's stop all this childish crap. Because that's not what the American people want. We're tired of that. Tired of it. And the world is watching and laughing. Don't forget that. So when you step your behind those lecterns and you start speaking as a potential candidate for the office of President of the United States, that should be your focus. Not who said what about whom. I was very disappointed in that debate. Not much was talked about because they're too busy, you know, playing hippity hop at the barbershop, out on the playground, at the schoolyard. I don't have time to waste. I want my damn country back, as I'm sure many of you do. Last night's kind of activities don't facilitate that. In my opinion, all they facilitate is me running to the bathroom and puking, because it was nauseating. So if any of these political people with aspirations for presidency are listening, you Republicans, tighten up your game. Tighten it up. We don't have time for all this nitpicking and name calling and backbiting and all of that garbage. You leave that to the children in the neighborhood schoolyard. Let them play with that. You get about the business and try to get yourself in a position to beat out these Democrats, because while you're over here pulling all of this garbage, you still got to think about Slithery Clinton, who with all her scandal is still very much in the forefront. Bernie Sanders is still telling people to feel the burn. And I don't know who else is running it. I don't pay attention to Democrats. But, you know, they're there and they're watching because the Republicans are going first. They probably won't do much better because they're all a bunch of shitbags. But my point is, we don't have time for frivolity. We don't have time for levity. We don't have time for idiocy. We have time for getting somebody preened and prepped to hopefully move into that Republican position of the nominee so that they can further fight it out and try to get in that White House and turn things around if they can before they're too late. Because you got to remember too, old bastard is still very much in charge and he's still doing a lot of crap for his own Muslim kind. Look at this the other day, this kid makes a clock, a homemade clock, takes it to school with all the wires and the things hanging out. The teacher thought it was a bomb, so she called up authorities and they arrested the kid. Kid gets out after they, find out it was just a little homemade clock. And guess who gets invited to the White House? This little muzzy kid. So you can readily see that this old bastard is not for anything good. So that's why the Republicans should have that in the forefronts of their mind and get their game tight. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen more cohesiveness from these people. A lot of them, when they did manage to come across with a few things, had some pretty good ideas. Okay, you look at Donald Trump, you look at Carly Fiorina. They are moguls, or at least she was. So they know about the day-to-day operations of running a business. Okay, for that section of the United States, I don't think there would be anybody better. And then you look at Dr. Ben Carson, former doctor. He has his hand on the medical pulse. Okay, he could be one of those at the forefront of the healthcare system, since this old bastard care is such a debacle. And then you look at the other career politicians like Rubio and Cruz and Christie and Huckabee and all those. They've been there. So they have a good inner working of how government work together. Is that such a bad thing? Is that a crime? Work together. And we're gonna help each other, and because we got a common enemy, we got the Democrats. So we as Republicans need to start once again being Republicans and work together, cohesive, one tight unit. My God, doesn't anybody have any brains anymore? But if everybody's standing on their own pedestal, it's going to be easy to get your ass knocked off of it. Think. Do you not have a brain? You need to work together for the betterment of this country. So whichever one of us, I think it's 14 of them because they had to split it. 13, because that Jindal, get him out of here. Piyush, Bobby, like he's trying to be, get him out of here. Those 13 need to work as one. So whichever one of us gets in that White House, we're all still going to work together. This is a brotherhood and sisterhood. We're going to work together because our country needs it. I don't want to hear crap about somebody's face, or somebody's a clown, or somebody is a bigot, or I want to hear that you're working together because we're in deep trouble. Oh, Donald Trump's a clown. You're all clowns if you can't work together for the betterment and the enrichment of this country. What the hell is wrong with all of you? Please, if you're hearing this, think about what you're doing. There's a lot at stake here. A lot of people are counting on somebody to pull this thing out at the last minute. Last-ditch effort to save America because it needs it. Because look at what's happened under old bastard's watch. And then he gets on there talking about, oh, he's slamming them. Oh, they're just preaching their rhetoric. We're doing better as a country than we ever have. We're doing great. Our economy is great. Yada, yada, yada. This guy is delusional and insane. And he should be locked up somewhere in a rubber room. Oh, bastard has never been good for this country. So you Republicans, start being Republicans and work together for the betterment and the enrichment of this country. Thank you very much for joining us on the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We'll see you again real soon. Take care and stay safe.